We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderwoman Tyus.
Present.
Alderwoman Martin. Alderman Bosley. Alderwoman Navarro.
Present.
Alderwoman Rice.
Present.
Alderman Todd.
Present.
Chairman Cone.
Present.
5 present, you have quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So this morning, we're having a meeting to hear from two of the mayor's nominees for the Forest Park Advisory Board. They are both here. Ms. Leata Wiley Price.
No, actually Leata Price.
Thank you. And Mr. Jake Banton. I also invited Alderwoman Shameen Clark Hubbard here. Both of the nominees are from the 26th Ward. And a fun fact, they were also in the most recent Aldermanic election. It's wonderful to see everyone here this morning. It has been brought to my attention from the Alderwoman of the First Ward that there is a process discrepancy with regard to the nominations. So today we will not be taking a vote on these nominations until we can get further clarification on the process moving forward. So in the meanwhile, I do want to just let everyone know and confirm I did send out the biographical information for both of the nominees earlier this week. I hope you all had an opportunity to review that. I did not get any specific questions from anyone regarding these two individuals to give them advance notice. So we'll go ahead and go through an order of seniority. Any questions that you might have, I will give Alderwoman Clark Hubbard an opportunity to introduce both of her honored guests this morning. And then also, I believe Commissioner Rowe is standing in for Commissioner Hayes. And if he would like to give an overview of the Forest Park Advisory Board for the benefit of the public, that would be awesome. And actually, I guess I'll just start off with Don. If you could take the floor for, if you can keep it to 5 minutes. That would be wonderful.
People know me, yes. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, members of the committee and the candidates for the Forest Park Advisory Board. I'm the director of the Planning and Urban Design Agency. As you know, Greg Hayes is the director of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry. He's unable to be here. But let me just give you a snapshot about the Forest Park Advisory Board and its role. As we heard in earlier discussions, much of this dates back to the mid-1990s. And that's when we, meaning the city, in cooperation with Forest Park Forever at the time, formulated a master plan for Forest Park. A robust planning effort, extensive citizen engagement, and the plan's 2 inches thick. As you know, we have contributed city money to Forest Park, but there also is money that comes from Forest Park Forever. The master plan is the guidebook for all of that activity, consensus guidebook for all that activity. During the course of the past almost 20 years, we've amended the plan formally 3 times, and that's to be a testimony to the diligency that we're using in following the plan. Where I want to morph into is the Forest Park Advisory Board is indeed advisory. It's advisory to Commissioner Hayes, but it's one of the most robust committees, boards that we have in the city. As you know, and getting familiar with how the makeup of the board members are, it's diverse. It has voting members. It has members that are advisory and being there to participate. And key to it is every project that is being funded of any significance, meaning not necessarily putting in a trash can, but any project of any significance is vetted by a steering committee of staff and taken to the Forest Park Advisory Board to be reviewed by the advisory board for a big thing. Is it in compliance with the master plan? And then, if so, and they can make judgments as to whether it is or not, it goes through, those projects go through a 3-step project process. a three-step review process at the Forest Park Advisory Board. It's not a come in, one and done, it's come in, talking about your project, get familiar with it to the advisory board. There'll have been some staff work before that. They review it, they pass it on back. The applicant, the proposer, the implementer comes back yet again twice before it can proceed and get constructed. So I really refer to it as a committee that the citizen members of it are extremely diligent. They're extremely conscious of their role and take these three steps with a great deal of vigor of offering their comments, their analysis, and I think it's a pretty terrific board. I'm very happy that we have citizens that are willing to volunteer to be on it. And the chairman of this committee now sits on the Forest Park Advisory Board, as do I. So.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Rowe? Alderwoman Tyus.
Yes, Mr. Rowe. So
Good morning,
you and I
Alderwoman
guess the
Tyus.
only people sitting at this table that was here when we created this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and how many members do we have on the Forest Park Advisory Committee?
I couldn't do that off the top of my head, but it's a pretty healthy number. It's not a 5 or 6 member committee.
Okay, it's like 20, something
In that
like
range.
that.
yeah.
Okay,
There are official members.
and ex-official
And
members from the,
ex-official
we have
members.
like 5 people from the county, right?
We
Well,
have-
there were well, the mayor can put up to additional 5 non-voting advisory members
Right.
who are not residents of the city, right?
I believe that to be
That's-
correct.
it's
Yes.
true. I don't ask questions, okay, and do we have members from the county?
We currently do, I believe. Yes.
Okay, and of those 20, I'm gonna just use 20 as the number.
Yeah.
How many are African American?
Uh, That's something I don't want to guess at,
Mm-hmm.
but it's been, the numbers have been increasing in the African American.
That's not my, you know that I don't accept it as an answer. 1, 2, 3, 6, 5, approximate. Increasing is not the answer.
Yeah. So I can only go, it's not my
How many do
committee.
you know of that
So
are
when I go,
Mm-hmm.
I see faces.
How many?
I think probably the last
I
time I
know
was there.
you, am I to hear you to say you don't see color? Is that what I'm hearing? How many?
I can't see people that aren't in attendance.
Okay, well, how many do you know? Okay, I know Leata's on there. I know her personally, okay?
So I want to come to mind that there's 5.
5, okay. That's what you think, all right. Okay.
And just for clarification, we did receive the printout this morning that has the current members and it has their gender and racial.
I know,
profile.
okay. I just wanted to see what his thoughts was, not, okay, I got you. I hear you, okay.
I just wanted to. make sure that the information-
And what did you say, your role is a planner? You're part of the planning process, right? Are you the chair of the master plan?
No, I am the director of the Planning and Urban Design Agency.
Okay, I know that.
But the Forest Park Master Plan is a city-adopted plan.
Right,
It's adopted by the Planning Commission, which my agency staffs.
right.
And we're, also, remember, the date of this goes back a while for the creation of the plan. But as formally adopted by the Planning Commission, continues to be monitored by the Planning Commission. And in that capacity, the mayor has some appointments from staff to make and not all of those appointments.
Okay. And so whenever the plan is going to change, does it come back to the planning commission
It
for
does
an
indeed.
overview?
It does
Okay, and then it goes back to the advisory committee for a vote, is that correct?
No.
Oh, okay, once you adopt it, that's it?
The planning, the process is we have a plan, it's been amended 3 times, by a vote of the planning commission. That's it. That's what we follow, and that's what the Forest Park Advisory Committee. If there's a new change, it comes to the planning commission again, and when they vote on it, it's a final vote.
And do you submit this ever to the Board of Aldermen?
In the past, there have been portions of it submitted as a resolution that this is our intent. It's adopted as part of, under state law, as part of the city's comprehensive plan.
Yes, okay. I have no further questions.
Alderwoman Martin,
No questions.
Alderman Bosley, Alderwoman Navarro,
I don't have any questions.
Alderwoman Rice,
No questions.
Alderman Todd.
No question.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Rowe. Appreciate it. I'll allow Alderwoman Clark Hubbard the opportunity to introduce her guest this morning.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. I brought my guests here. They're not just my guests. I can really call them my friends now. We ran and became close with each other during the campaign. These are both my opponents that we just ran in the March and April primary on. And I'm really kind of upset that the same courtesy that was given to me about them being even asked to be appointed or appointed, and we had that conversation. I feel like the conversation that has them here for clearly almost no reason today could have been given to me as well. They both have other things they could have been doing other than coming down here to go through rules with us. Especially my friend Leata. She clearly could have been somewhere a lot more comfortable than here this morning. So I think this definitely speaks to their commitment to the Forest Park Board. I think that maybe somehow we can do this differently. I don't know if you all just received
So
the rule.
I'm going to interrupt and I apologize, but I do want to be clear that even though there's a process discrepancy, they're still going to be afforded the opportunity
Okay,
to
good.
say,
Okay,
good. their piece and their commitment to the
Okay.
board.
They just won't be
and the
voted on
city.
today.
But we're just not going to be voting on it today because we
Okay.
need to get clarity on the process itself.
Okay.
Because we want to make sure that when they do,
Have to come
in
back.
the event that we get appointed, and they may not even need to come back because we'll give them the opportunity to ask questions or be asked questions of the committee this morning.
Great,
And
great.
so
Thank you, Sean.
then when we get to the process specific, side of the equation, we'll go through that as a board and, not waste their time.
Right, thank you so much, Shane. So, again, I vouch for them. I've gotten to know them really good and their commitment to the community. We have the like-minded, wanting to, work collectively across the city of St. Louis, and they're wanting to do this, I think, obviously speaks to it, so. Thank you for letting me speak and introduce them. I guess they're now there to answer questions.
Yep.
Okay.
So I believe Jake Banton, Mr. Banton, you want to
Sure.
take the hot seat?
Good morning, everyone.
If you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about yourself and your
Sure.
commitment, and then I'll give the members an opportunity to ask questions.
Sure. So, quick 3-minute biography. My name's Jake Banton. I'm an architect here. I live in the West End neighborhood of the city in 26th Ward. Grew up out in the county and then went to get my master's degree in architecture at the University of Kansas. And I'm one of those people that have always sort of loved St. Louis, so I knew I wanted to come back here after I graduated. Moved downtown for a couple of years, got involved in that neighborhood, and then found a house out in the West End neighborhood. And really excited to put down roots there and get involved in the community, and got to know these two lovely ladies this past winter and spring through the primary. And I just want to say it is a testament that all of us are here today working together. I think it's a really powerful message. I currently sit on the Planning Commission for the City of St. Louis. And as for this appointment, I believe it was, I do a lot of volunteer work with Great Rivers Greenway. I believe my name was given to Director Hayes through Susan Troutman of Great Rivers Greenway as a good candidate for this board. And was happy to oblige. I think Forest Park is the crown jewel of the city's park system, and it's important that it's representative and being able to access through all members of the city, and maintains its status as sort of the glowing jewel of this city, but also as a park that other cities are envious of. So. A little bit about myself. I'll take any questions if you have any.
So, Alderwoman Tyus.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Doing well.
Thank you for being here. I agree with the 26th Ward Alderwoman. This should have been handled. What it should have happened is the mayor has all that staff over there. I'm a little lawyer myself. If I can do the research, then the mayor's office should have done the research. In fact, her chief of staff and I got elected within 4 or 5 months of one another. So he knows just about this. Everybody on this committee knows I've been a person leading the charge about diversity, not just ethnic, not just gender, but regionally, okay? That our city is bigger than the 26th ward, the 18th ward, and a few other wards right there, 27th, no, not the 27th, 28th ward, 17th. So I want to apologize to you, but I have so many other things on my plate, but I have said something over and over, and they're not listening. So when people don't listen, what you have to do as a lawyer is pull the law. And so the law is very clear about how we are supposed to appoint people. And I didn't call and talk to you, but I've known Leata has been my friend for many, many years. I called and talked to her because I had already made an announcement on the floor that I was not going to vote for either one of you all because of the violation I believe to be about the geographics. I then found out that Leata was already on there, so I don't have a problem with that. But I want you to know that one of the things that we had a ordinance, not a resolution, an ordinance says that the mayor can appoint these people at large, but they have to be geographical, racial, and ethnic and gender diversity of the city. If you're putting two people from the same ward, and we have a printout of where the people are, they act like there's nobody that lives north of Page. I live north of Page, and a whole bunch of other people. So that I want to put that where it belongs, the mayor's office, okay? So that's the problem, is that she's tone deaf. So I don't let mayors be tone deaf. So I've served with Shamo, Harmon, Bosley, Slay, and now her. So when I try to tell you something, it is almost much better to have a conversation with me and say, Sharon, what do you know? If you don't know it, than to not hear me. So I'm sorry, but I did talk to Leata. So Leata already knew because she's been my friend for a long time, but I want to apologize to you. This is nothing personal at all. Yep. I want us to follow our own rules and laws. And when we put this in place in '96, we were concerned about people being left out. These boards and commissions are for all the citizens, not a very few in a central location, and not people who just agree with the mayors. The whole point is to have inclusion, and I've been a fighter for that. We passed laws about gays back in the 90s when I first got here that half of the board was up in roar about, okay? So I've always been one of the people that believes in inclusion, and when people don't do that, I will fight for that. You already pretty much told me everything I would have had to ask you. You've been on your name, where you've been on so you're already on the planning commission.
I am.
How long have you been on the planning commission?
Since last summer.
Okay. And are you on there as at large or because you're an architect?
Because I'm an architect.
Okay. Okay, and and you may not know this, do Forest Park advisory members get paid any kind of per diem? Do you know?
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay. Okay, do they travel at all, do you know?
I just recently joined the
Okay.
so
Okay, all right.
No, I'm also.
yeah.
Okay. And what is the term, do you know?
It's 4 years.
It appears to be a 4-year, yeah.
Okay. I'm asking these questions because as I'm the chair of the Rules Committee. We are going to start vetting all the people who on all these committees because we believe many of them are not living up to the qualifications. So I did pull this booklet, and so I wanted to say I wouldn't be supporting you either way because if Leata's going to stay on there, I don't believe 2 people from the 26th ward is geographic diversity. Okay, it's not anything. If she's going to get off, I don't have any problem with you. We just got 28 wards, so when you're talking about putting 2 from the 26th ward, that's not geographic diversity to me. Okay, I have no further questions.
Okay. Alderwoman Martin,
No questions.
Alderwoman Navarro,
I don't have any questions.
Alderwoman Rice.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming down. I just wanted to, the ordinance that we have in front of us sets out specific people for specific reasons that are getting appointed to the board. And one of the categories is 7 members of the board have to reflect the geographic, racial, and ethnic and gender diversity of the city. And I think that's a big sticking point, and then by resolution, right? So I thank you so much for coming down. I appreciate your work and your expertise in architecture, and you're serving on the planning commission as well. But so I think it'd be very helpful for us to get clarification as far as which of the members that are currently on the board fall into these categories and which we're looking for. So that's not to you, I'm sorry. I'm wrong person. But We'll just throw that back here over no, anyway, thank you so much.
Alderman Todd.
I didn't call you. I don't know you.
Yeah.
Okay. I would have called you.
I've had the pleasure of serving with Mr. Banton on the Planning Commission. I serve at the pleasure of the chair of the Transportation Committee as a member of that commission, and I very much respect your body of knowledge and also the commitment and volunteerism that you've given towards our city. So,
Thank you.
As we continue to move through this process, we'll keep you in the loop and advise you on what's going on in terms of next steps. So,
Great.
But very much appreciate you coming down this morning and sharing a little bit about yourself with the members of this committee.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Can everybody see me?
No.
Unfortunately, we have to have you
got
at
it, Shmi.
the table for the
Okay.
microphone for the purposes
Okay,
of
I'm sorry.
the video cameras and recording. So my apologies for the inconvenience.
Yeah, yesterday, I'm Leata Priceland, and yesterday I had a doctor's appointment. And I went to the doctor's appointment and I missed a step. And when I missed the step, I'm a big girl. All this weight fell on my knee. And thank God I was at the doctor's office because I broke a bone in my kneecap. And so if you knew what it was like getting ready to come this morning, because I didn't feel that I could call you and say, I can't come. So I wanted to make sure I was here to answer any questions or what have you. I want to say to you all that I have been civically involved in the market ever since I moved here in 1981. It's an honor to be on all the things that I have been on, because I've been on the Pie Board and that ended, and then I was on the Forest Park Board, and I want to let you all know during that time I had my own business, and so it was never a problem attending the board meetings. And then I became employed. And when I became employed, I'm in the communications department at an urban school. And we lost our director, and I had to be the interim director, and I missed a lot of meetings at the Forest Park Board during that time. But I let the director know what happened and why I wasn't able to attend. And I basically said, whatever you have to do, I understand. Now we have a director, and this director knows I'm on this board. And so while I was running against these two people, they allowed me to come to the board meetings. I had a chance to talk to you at that time. And so I felt like I'm back and I'm ready to roll. And then I get the announcement that I had to come in and talk to you about staying on the board. So it's been such an honor, because the Forest Park Board, the Forest Park is just the absolute jewel of the St. Louis market. And one of the reasons I stayed here is because at one time I was in the 28th Ward when I was initially put on that board. And then I was moved into the 26th Ward, okay? I ran against the mayor, so she put me out of the 28th and put me into the 26th. And so, which was fine, because I still have the same house and I still have the same eclectic neighborhood that I absolutely adore. And I love being a part of that, because I know you all have seen all the wonderful things that have happened to make the park look beautiful and grow, and the things that we have, not just for the neighbors that live over there, but for the entire city. I think it really is, to Sharon's point, it's very necessary to have diversity on that board, simply because oftentimes when we make decisions, it's because we just don't know any better. And I don't mean that to be ignorant. I mean that it needs to be an African American voice to make sure that people are represented. And it doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't want things to happen. It's just they need a different point of view. So whether I stay on the board because you all decide I'm supposed to stay on the board, or not, please make sure that it is a good mix of different ethnicity. It's very, very important. We don't have a basketball court
Hello.
in that park.
27 years.
There's a reason for that.
Correct.
Okay, we don't have a lot of things in that park, and I fight when I had been present all the time because of those things. Because it's not just because I'm African American. I raised 4 African American boys, and they needed a place like Forest Park, which my son, that is now the 84th state rep, learned how to play golf in that park. And had he not learned that, he wouldn't be dealing with the Republicans on those golf courses, you know, making deals, because that's where he learned. He would go over there at 10 and 11 years old, and do you know how expensive that is for? I was divorced from his dad, you know, and they didn't make him pay to be there. They knew him, you know, and to me, the Forest Park is part of my village. It helped raise my children. It kept my sons out of trouble. The only trouble that they got in with me was they had a dog, and they kept letting them get in that doggone pond. And he would come home filthy, you know, and so, because he wouldn't have them on a leash.
And if you guys are still here, I'll come back.
I know that entire park because of that. And it's just an honor. I actually thank the park
Coming right now.
just because of the things that it's done for my family. So I'm gonna limp out of here unless you have some questions for me.
You're lucky I'm leaving, so I don't get to question you.
Okay.
I got a rules meeting.
Okay,
So
so,
I am going to give the members of the
That's
committee an
fine.
opportunity to ask any questions. So Alderwoman Tyus indicates that she doesn't have any. Alderwoman Martin.
Oh, I have 100, but
Oh,
I just have to go to rules.
no questions.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
bye-bye.
Alderwoman Navarro.
I have no questions.
Alderwoman Rice.
No questions, but thank you so much for coming down, and thank you for telling us your story and letting us learn a little bit more about you.
Thank you, thank you.
My vice chair took care of it, very good.
Alderman Todd.
No, I don't have any questions, but thank you and nice seeing you again.
It's good to always see you.
I don't have any questions myself, Leata, but I do, want to reiterate my appreciation for your commitment as well to our park, and I'm glad that you've been able to, resolve the issues with your employer in terms of being able
Me
to
too.
attend the meetings, and I'm very excited, and enthused by your commitment to Forest Park, and it's awesome to also hear the backstory with regard to your family connections to the park as well. It's incredible. I actually kind of share the same story. I grew up just on the other side of Skinker in an apartment complex, and Forest Park was basically my backyard.
Yeah.
So it was a great resource for me as a kid, and I actually used to go pretend the art museum was my house. So,
Exactly.
Anyways, thank you again, especially, given your medical situation, making the time to come down here and showing your commitment again to the park.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just say something else?
Yeah.
Megan
I
took
thought you
care-
were leaving,
I was,
so,
but my
yeah.
vice chair took care of it.
Okay.
That's what
All
you
right.
have vice chairs
Yeah.
for.
Alderman Tice.
Leada, I just want to thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
And I'm thanking you for expressing what I keep trying to make them understand, is that people want to be included. And just because you're included, that doesn't make it okay not to exclude everybody else, okay?
Right.
And besides the race, again, I want to say geographically, when you look at the list of people, nobody is on that board that is north of Page. That's embarrassing and shameful, okay? And so that I love you, and you know how long
Right, I know.
we've known each other, but it's shameful. So thank you for talking about it. I've already asked you questions, but people who tend to have what they want don't tend to care about other people being included. That is my voice here at this Board of Aldermen. I actually, when I first moved to St. Louis in the when did I move? No, 78. I lived on Waterman, so I lived in the 28th Ward, okay? And so I also been to Forest Park. But I don't tend to go to Forest Park now that I live north of Page, and many of the people that I represent don't feel included. We stopped going down to the riverfront because Phyllis Young started putting all these restrictive things. Most of them we know as African Americans are directed toward keeping black people out of it. So my job at this board is to make everybody uncomfortable, not want to hear what I'm saying, but do my legal research too, and to do inclusion. I actually have a list of who's on this Forest Park Advisory now. It's embarrassing. I think you were, I think if I'm correct, you were first appointed by Mayor Bosley, is that correct?
I was, and I was also, there was Ms. Nelson
Okay.
was on the board as well.
Exactly. And I know he did try to do more inclusion. The following mayors have not done their job at all. And we have a lot of new people, and so they give them these nominations to say, oh, look, I'm giving you a nomination. And they don't want to hear that it's not legal, it's not right, it's not ethical, and that we're breaking our own ordinances, okay? So that's okay if people are uncomfortable. I'm gonna keep bringing it up. I'm gonna keep making sure that we are included. And I know you are a strong voice, and I had already told you, if you wanna stay, you got my support to stay, because I know you will. I don't know you, but I do disagree that both 26 ward people should be on it. I think there should be somebody from the 27th and the 1st and the 21st also. And I even look south. So there's not much south. If it wasn't for the chair being there, and I'm saying to South St. Louis, and I continue to say this, the Central Quarter is not the center of the universe. They may think they are.
You know, I share your.
So I just want some
Your
white
feelings
people from
on
South
that.
St. Louis or black people from South St. Louis on it too. So thank you very much.
There are many ethnicities across the
Thank
city.
you.
So I did actually have one question. So I know you live in the 26th ward, but which neighborhood in the 26th ward do you live in?
It used to be called Washington Heights, believe it or not. I live right across the street from Nina Place. So I'm at 5820 Waterman.
Okay.
And like I said, I was the 28th. And for somehow I became the 26th. And so it was really interesting to learn the differences in the two wards. When I was running for the 26th, it was so interesting because I didn't know that the 26th felt left out from the 28th. They felt that the 28th gets all the accolades and they get everything that's given. And they just have this, how come you all aren't looking at us, and Delmar Divide, and just all these things that I had no idea because I've been living there for 32 years. You know, and so that was a history for me and a learning lesson. Because I'm not from St. Louis. I actually was born here, and I lived on Cavaney Place with my grandmother. My mother had me at 15 and a half. And I went to school at a Lutheran school right by WashU. But at 7, we moved to Columbus, Ohio. So I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, and when I got back to St. Louis, it was 1981 after I graduated from college. When people asked me what school I went to, I said Ohio University. I didn't know what they were talking about. You know, I had no idea they were talking about what high school.
Yeah.
You know, so it's all kind of things you learn when you move to a different market. But I actually came here and stayed here because of the cost of living. It wasn't like it is here, you know. So St. Louis has some things that they talk really bad about us, and I know we have a lot of crime. However, where we live, the biggest crime that we're receiving is breaking in cars. And I've been there for 32 years. I feel that's a blessing. You know, we had one drug dealer lived on my 3 doors down from me. And my neighbors were both federal attorneys, Brian Witherspoon and Jan Witherspoon. So she told him, you know, I just want you to know it's gonna be us calling the police. So I've never had issue, you know, which is why I stayed there for 32 years. Everybody usually buys a house and then you buy another house and you buy. At this point, the only reason I'll leave is because, you know, I've messed up this knee. Because I have stairs.
Well, hopefully that heals.
Yeah.
Heals quickly.
Yeah.
But again, thank you again for your time, and Mr. Banton, thank you for yours as well. And as we work through the process concerns, you know, myself or a member of the mayor's office will keep you both in the loop, and you as well, Alderwoman. Okay. All right, well, that,
Can I ask you all, where do you go, sorry,
oh, no,
where do you go for, City Hall Room 30? That's what it is, I gotta go.
that, I believe that's in the basement. Yeah,
Oh, the basement?
It is.
For handicap?
And-
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So with that, I don't have any other business for today's meeting, so we'll go ahead and conclude for today. And when we have more business, we will be meeting in our rec centers across the city. So to get a little bit more exposure to the parks and recs that we have and their conditions and all that kind of stuff. So I did get a email from the commissioner's office with the resolutions for the Metro Park, Neighborhood Park funds. I'm reviewing those currently and don't plan to introduce them until I have some conversations with the commissioner and parks director. So I will keep you all abreast of that, but we will be having a meeting about that in one of our rec centers. So.
Chairman, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So in terms of the ordinance regarding appointments to the Forest Park Advisory Board, are we going to be seeking a legal opinion?
I'm going
as
to
what-
send an email
Okay.
this morning to the mayor's office and also our legal counsel recommending the next steps, not only for these nominees, but also, for the folks that have already been appointed that were potentially appointed without the appropriate process.
Okay, because I think, there are 7 at-large members and there are 28 wards, and so,
Right.
I mean, I don't know that we're gonna, it'll be good to get a legal opinion on, I guess, what that means, and it may be up to this committee to figure out what does that mean in the context of this ordinance.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
So, we already kind of figured out a way that, because not only do we have this ordinance, we have another ordinance that also speaks to this, because every so many generations, the aldermen get really upset with the mayors not looking at the city as a whole. Actually, I think we did something good when we did the Citizen Advisory Committee, because we put it in regions, so that if you didn't, you have to have somebody from those regions, so that's a way that we could do it. You're not saying you gotta have it from every ward, but most certainly, the 18th, 26th, and 28th are not geographically diverse, when that's where many of your members come from, and one of them is your committee man. The committee man, Art Perry, is also one of the people on there.
Well, he's being replaced.
But he's been on there, that's what I'm saying. It has not been, the history has not been. And we also have the original sponsor of the bill who can come here, as well as the mayor's chief of staff, if we need some history, and our clerk. We all worked on putting that word geographically in there for a reason.
Maybe it would be helpful if this committee attended a Forest Park Advisory Board meeting to see the contributions of the previous members.
That is not the contributions, it's the inclusion.
That was just a suggestion.
We can continue that, and I appreciate the suggestion as well. So with that, the meeting is adjourned, and I will keep you all apprised as I learn more about the process moving forward. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thank you. Okay.